Raesjon Davis. Tim has decided between he and the coaching staff, it seems to be a mutual decision to redshirt here in 24.
Yeah, a complete different story to Bear Alexander's story that came out last week. This one's really your typical redshirt situation. A guy that just hasn't had to get a foothold, on a position, and it looks like he may not see a lot of playing time. So I think they both decided that it would be in Raesjon in the team's best interest if he redshirts this year, comes back. They're going to have some young linebackers next year. He could bring some veteran stability to the program, and I think it's going to be a win-win for both. So yeah, it's not. This is a truly one of your traditional red shirts, I believe.
And I mean, we all know the story that ever really since the Cotton Bowl, Raesjon Davis made a few plays in the Cotton Bowl, and it was like, well, where was this during the 2022 season? Alex Grinch not playing Raesjon Davis as much as USC fans would have liked. And of course, one of the problems with Alex Grinch, which is connected to the larger story of Raesjon Davis, is that Alex Grinch did not put the right players on the field. He seemed to have his guys instead of, the culture of competition that we're seeing here in 2024 under the D'Anton Lynn regime, where, performance determines how much you play. Grinch did not give Raesjon Davis a lot of snaps, didn't give him really the chance to prove himself when he probably would have been better than a lot of the other options. We remember Tackett Curtis, who, by the way, committed a really dumb 15-yard penalty for Wisconsin as a member of the Badgers, being coached by Grinch and the rest of the Wisconsin defensive staff. Like, Tackett Curtis never measured up, and yet he was getting snaps that Raesjon Davis, potentially, ostensibly, might have been able to get. I mean, it might not have been a clean fit in terms of the two men having the exact same roles or responsibilities at linebacker, but nevertheless, having Tackett Curtis take all those snaps with a very low rate of return, and all while Raesjon Davis was stapled to the bench, that was part of the story of frustration. And so now, like, you can see how well Eric Gentry's playing, although he got injured in the Wisconsin game, but you're seeing also how well Mason Cobb is playing. You're seeing how well the veteran linebackers have responded to Matt Entz and D'Anton Lynn. So it is kind of a clearer cut situation. Like, Raesjon Davis can see, oh, the ones are playing really well. I'm not going to get playing time, but I like being coached by Matt Entz. I like being coached by D'Anton Lynn. So as Tim said, yeah, it's a traditional redshirt situation and very much harmonious. And so having Raesjon Davis to look forward to in 2025, that's great news for USC.
Tim, Matt referred to Eric Gentry leaving the game against Wisconsin, whether it's Gentry or some of the other health issues that this team has faced over the last several weeks. Some of these guys are getting healthy. What's your assessment of where we stand?
A couple of really key defensive players went down. You saw Keely Arnold go down a couple of times and then leave the game. He's starting safety. And then, like you just talked about, Eric Gentry, who really has just been the story this season. Talk about being misused. I mean, he was the guy that Alex Grinch just didn't get on the field remotely enough last year. Really playing the best ball, I think, of he's playing as well as anybody on this team. And for him, heart and soul, going in next couple of weeks, it's some kind of either head or neck. Nothing's been disclosed, but that's what I've been hearing knocked around. He stayed there. He was there after the end of the game. It wasn't like he was carted off like it was situated with Mekhi Lemon. And so I don't think it was that serious. But obviously, anytime you're talking about head or neck issues, that could be something that could be serious enough to keep him out of a few games. So, prayers out to him. Hope he's going to get better. I heard USCFootball.com, Chris Trevino said that, I'll make sure I say it correctly. He didn't say he's going to play, but he said that Keely Arnold was practicing. So most likely, you might see him in action on Saturday, or depending on how the game shakes out, you had Zion Branch playing last week. So may see him come back in. And I really think they want to have all man on deck for that Penn State game. So look, we're not overlooking a game that I see a couple people in the chat say it could be a slugfest. You got some big guys that, that want to get out there and get at it. But it would be great if they could give those players time to fully rest up, not re-aggravate any injuries. So it'll be interesting to watch those injuries. But coming back, same reporting from Chris Trevino, because I wasn't at practice. They said that so they said that Mekhi Lemon was back and practicing in pads, which is a great sign after that just ridiculously vicious. I mean, honestly, if it was an NFL, you're probably looking at fines and stuff on that hit. So it's great news that he's coming back. He was in street clothes, obviously, for the last game. Killian O'Connor, who went down with that lower leg injury that everyone was really scary. He's also back at full practice and participating. So, and then, they also said Carson Tabarachi, who's been out since the spring with, I believe it was also a neck injury, was back and practicing. He's the guy that moved over from linebacker to tight end. Very athletic. And they definitely could use that veteran depth with Tabarachi there, with Lake McCree, looking to come back. So a lot of good signs, still some injuries on defense, but a lot of good news coming back as well.
Folks, you should be excited about this USC football team. 4 games into the season, 1 play away from an undefeated record at this point. Of course, that disappointing loss at Michigan, but still a team that controlled that game midway through the second quarter till the last drive of the game. And I go back 2 weeks just to connect that to what we saw at the Coliseum on Saturday. So, Tim, you got a unique perspective to a certain extent, because obviously you watched the game on TV after the fact, but you were in the stadium at the time. And now for a second consecutive game, we've seen USC come out of the chute at halftime and outplay their opponent 28-0 against the Badgers on Saturday. But there were some boos raining down at halftime.
The issue I had in the game was one that we've seen for a while now at USC, and that is that they just cannot figure out the right side of that line. It just seems like the offensive line is going to be causing problems for USC. They're able to keep it afloat with, like you're talking about, and the second half of the game really just SC stopped shooting themselves in the foot. I don't think it was really a major issue with USC getting into the game. It's kind of hard to play a game. You turn the ball over 3 times and then twice in plus territory. That was the story of the first half. USC covers this game easily if they take care of the ball. But I mean, are we starting to see an issue with being able to take care of the ball? Problems are stemming from that offensive line. I mean, you had the 1 gaffe on special teams, but 2 of the 3 plays directly were a result of poor blocking by the offensive line. And I mean, I hate to be the one to say it, but if USC doesn't get that offensive line situation figured out, a lot of the aspirations that we got excited about early in the season and in the in preseason, we're going to start seeing teams find a way to exploit that if they can't solidify that line.
And one note with this offensive line is that these guys are not thin, they're not weak, they're not just tall reeds you can blow down in the wind. These guys are big, these guys are thick. It's not that they lack brawn. Like, that's not the issue. So there's no Benny Wiley criticism coming attached to this. This is communication and this is technique. Like, we saw very clearly against Wisconsin, 2 guys, Pregnon and I believe Murphy, going after the same blocker, and then Wisconsin had a free blitzer on the outside. So communication's been an issue. And against Michigan, Elijah Page couldn't hear this at the snap, due to the crowd noise. So he was just a statue. It's really not brawn getting absolutely mashed, at least not all the time. I mean, Michigan had some plays where it just was able to blow back USC, but a lot of this is communication and a lot of this is technique. So that goes to Josh Henson needing to fix things for the USC offensive line.